Ladies and gentlemen, there is a lesson more powerful than any degree, more transformative than any success, and more essential than any dream. We live in a world that whispers, no, screams, comfort into your ears. Take the easy road, hit snooze, avoid the hard conversation, escape into your phone, let someone else handle it, and the truth, it's seductive, comfort feels good, for a moment, but it's a lie, a trap. A slow death wrapped in warm blankets, because the reality is this: the more you chase comfort, the more fragile you become. And fragility is not freedom. It's a cage you build for yourself. Responsibility, on the other hand, that's where real life begins. The moment you take ownership of your situation, of your failures, of your flaws, that's the moment things start to change. Responsibility is not punishment, it's power. It's the ability to respond, to shape, to rise. The man or woman who shoulders their burden, who says this is on me, even when it's hard, even when it's unfair, that person becomes dangerous, not to others, but to mediocrity, to weakness, to the version of themselves that would rather stay small. It starts with something as simple as this: stop asking, what do I feel like doing today? Start asking, what needs to be done, regardless of how I feel? That question alone will tear you out of the fog and slap you into reality. And reality, for all its pain, for all its chaos, is where greatness is built. Look around, really look. The people who live with deep meaning, who walk into rooms and command respect, who others trust, follow, admire. They're not the most talented, they're not the luckiest. They're the ones who said, this is my responsibility, even when it hurts, even when it's hard, even when no one is watching. And they carried it anyway, day after day, quietly, unshakably, because here's the truth no one wants to hear. Comfort will never build character. It won't build legacy. It won't build anything that lasts, but responsibility, that builds nations. That forges leaders, that shapes souls, and the earlier you learn this, the earlier you embrace it, live it, breathe it, the sooner life will stop feeling like something happening to you and start becoming something you are creating. Is it fair? No, life isn't fair, but it's yours, and if you refuse to carry what's yours to carry, someone else will. Someone who decided to stop waiting and start owning. So ask yourself this: are you willing to suffer short-term discomfort for long-term strength? Are you ready to carry the weight of who you could become? Because that weight, that responsibility, it's not a burden, it's a gift, the most powerful one you'll ever receive. And when you finally stop reaching for comfort and start reaching for purpose, everything changes. Everything, the world outside, is chaotic, unpredictable, and often overwhelming. The more you try to impose order on it, the more it slips through your fingers. The chaos outside reflects the chaos within. And here's the hard truth: if you can't manage the storm inside your own mind, you will never have the power to manage the world around you. You see, it's not enough to just fix external circumstances. You can't change the world if you haven't first learned how to control the world inside of you. It begins with something as deceptively simple as cleaning your room. It may seem trivial, even childish, but the act of putting things in order within the physical space you occupy is symbolic of something much greater. It's a declaration that you have the ability to impose order, even on the smallest parts of your life. Your room, your house, your desk, they are extensions of your mind. If they're a mess, your mind is likely to be one as well. You can't think clearly in a cluttered space. You can't act decisively when everything around you is chaotic. But it's not just about cleaning physical spaces, it's about taking control of your mind. The stories you tell yourself, the beliefs you hold, the emotions you feel, these need to be in order too. Without this internal order, you're a ship adrift, tossed by the waves of every passing emotion, every conflicting thought. You need to take responsibility for your own mental landscape. Your thoughts can either be your greatest asset or your most powerful enemy. It's up to you to cultivate a mind that works for you, not against you. How do you do that? You start by confronting the disorganization inside. We all have it: the unspoken fears, the unresolved conflicts, the doubts that nag at you when you try to sleep. You must face them, one by one, acknowledge them, understand them, and, when possible, put them to rest. This isn't easy, and it's certainly not quick. But without this internal work, you will always be at the mercy of your emotions, your impulses, and your past. The greatest leaders in history didn't just excel because they knew how to manage others. They excelled because they knew how to manage themselves. They had order in their minds, in their hearts, and in their souls. They understood that to lead, they first had to learn how to be. They had to tame the impulses, quiet the internal chaos, and gain mastery over their emotion. It was through this internal order that they gained the clarity to act decisively in the face of the world's external chaos. When you begin to order your internal world, you will find that the external world begins to shift as well. You'll find that you make better decisions, handle stress with more resilience, and live with a sense of purpose and direction that had previously eluded you. It's not about eliminating the chaos, it's about learning to navigate through it with calmness and clarity. It starts with you, your mind, your emotions, your actions. If you want to make a difference in the world, you must first make a difference in yourself. Get your internal house in order. Clean your room, clean your mind, and everything around you will begin to change in ways you never thought possible. The truth is a powerful force, but it is often a difficult one to confront. We live in a world full of half-truths, lies, and evasions, all designed to make things easier, more comfortable, less painful. And yet, in the midst of this, the most important thing you can do for yourself and for those around you is to speak the truth, especially when it hurts, especially when it would be easier to look the other way or stay silent, because that's when the truth has the most power to heal, to transform, and to set you free. Truth is not something to be taken lightly. It is not a commodity that can be bent or twisted to fit the situation at hand. It is an unwavering force, much like the laws of nature. What is true, regardless of how uncomfortable or inconvenient it may be. And it doesn't matter how hard we try to avoid it. Denial is only a temporary escape. The truth has a way of resurfacing, and when it does, it will often do so with a vengeance. Speaking the truth, particularly when it's hard, is an act of courage. It's so easy to lie, to pretend to say what people want to hear. In the moment, it seems like the right choice. It protects you from judgment, it keeps the peace, it shields you from conflict. But in the long run, the cost is steep. A lie creates a fracture in your integrity, and the more you allow that fracture to expand, the further you distance yourself from who you truly are. Eventually, you begin to forget who you were before the lies started. You become a shadow of yourself, and no amount of pretending will ever make you feel whole again. Telling the truth, especially when it's painful, is the antidote to this internal decay. It is an act of self-respect, a declaration that you are not willing to sacrifice your integrity for comfort or approval. Yes, it may hurt in the short term. Yes, it may create conflict or expose you to criticism. But in the end, it is the only way to live authentically. When you speak the truth, you align your actions with your beliefs, your words with your heart. This does not mean being brutal or unnecessarily harsh with others. Truth can be communicated with kindness and empathy, but it does mean being honest, even when the honesty is uncomfortable. It means being willing to face the consequences of your words. It means being willing to stand up for what's right, even when it's difficult. And more importantly, it means being honest with yourself. Because here's the thing, if you cannot tell the truth to yourself, you cannot possibly hope to tell it to others. The lies we tell ourselves are the most dangerous of all. They trap us in cycles of self-deception, prevent us from growing, and keep us from seeing the reality of our own lives. We must face our own truth, our flaws, our mistakes, our weaknesses, before we can ever hope to confront the truths of the world around us. It's not easy, it never is, but the power of speaking the truth, especially when it hurts, is that it frees you. It frees you from the burden of carrying lies, from the anxiety of hiding your true self, and from the heavy weight of dishonesty. It clears the air and allows you to move forward, unburdened. It gives you the strength to stand tall, even when the world around you would rather you stay quiet. So, speak the truth. Speak it even when it costs you. Speak it even when it's uncomfortable, because when you do, you're not just shaping the world around you, you're shaping the person you're becoming, and that, above all, is worth the pain. Suffering is something we all face. No one escapes it, no matter how rich, how successful, or how powerful they are. It's part of the human experience, as fundamental as birth and death. Whether it's the loss of a loved one, a personal failure, a betrayal, or the constant strain of living in an unpredictable world, suffering comes in many forms, and at some point it touches everyone. You cannot avoid it, no matter how hard you try, but here's the crucial truth. While suffering is inevitable, how you respond to it can transform it. It can shape you, refine you, and ultimately make you stronger. Many people, when they encounter suffering, seek to escape it. They turn to distractions, drugs, alcohol, overwork, or entertainment, anything that can numb the pain and offer temporary relief. But in doing so, they miss the opportunity to grow. When you try to avoid suffering at all costs, you create a life of shallow experiences where everything is surface level and nothing truly matters. The pain, the difficulty, the struggle, they are part of the process. If you try to bypass them, you deny yourself the very lessons that life is trying to teach you. The difference between those who are crushed by suffering and those who emerge from it with strength lies in one thing: meaning. When suffering strikes, it's easy to feel like a victim. It's easy to feel powerless, lost, and hopeless. But this is where meaning comes in. The key is not to ask, "Why me?" but to ask, "What can I learn from this? What does this teach me about who I am? What can I create out of this pain?" When you find meaning in your suffering, it stops being an obstacle and becomes a catalyst for transformation. It becomes a fire that forges your character. This is not to say that suffering is easy to bear or that it doesn't hurt. It does, it's excruciating. But when you approach it with a mindset of meaning, the suffering becomes something you can channel and use for growth. Look at the stories of some of the most influential people in history. They didn't rise to greatness by avoiding suffering. They embraced it. They faced the darkest moments of their lives, but instead of being destroyed, they found purpose in the pain. They used their suffering to propel them forward, to fuel their desire to make a difference, to transform their experiences into something larger than themselves. These individuals didn't let pain define them. They defined the pain, using it as a stepping stone to build resilience, wisdom, and ultimately success. The meaning you find in suffering doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. It could be the lesson of patience, of strength, of humility, of learning to persevere when everything seems to fall apart. The meaning can be as simple as understanding that your pain is temporary and that with time you can heal. It can be the realization that the difficulties you face now are preparing you for something greater, something that will require the strength you gain through your suffering. And here's another truth: suffering shared is suffering lessened. When you allow yourself to feel your pain fully and then connect with others who have gone through similar struggles, the suffering transforms. It becomes a bridge between people, a shared experience that binds you together and gives you a deeper understanding of humanity. You realize that you're not alone in your suffering, that it's part of the shared human condition, and in that realization there is comfort. Suffering is inevitable. It will find you. But how you face it, whether you run from it or you meet it head on and extract meaning from it, will shape who you are. Don't let your pain go to waste. Turn it into strength, into wisdom, into something beautiful that will carry you through life's challenges. Because it's not the suffering that defines you, it's how you respond to it. Discipline is often viewed with resistance. Many people associate it with restrictions, sacrifices, and the loss of freedom. In a world where the message of "do whatever you want, whenever you want" is broadcasted loudly, discipline can seem like the opposite of liberation. But in reality, discipline is the true path to freedom. It's not a set of chains that hold you down. It's the key that unlocks your potential. Without it, you remain shackled to impulse, reaction, and short-term gratification, all of which will ultimately prevent you from living the life you truly desire. The myth of freedom is that it's about being unbound, unrestricted, doing whatever you please. But in truth, that kind of freedom is fleeting, shallow, and unsustainable. True freedom is the ability to act intentionally, with purpose, and to shape your life according to your deepest values. It's about creating the life you want, not simply reacting to what happens to you. And to do that, you need discipline. The discipline to do what needs to be done, even when it's difficult. The discipline to follow through on your commitments, even when the initial excitement wears off. The discipline to focus on long-term goals rather than indulging in momentary desires. Without discipline, you are a slave to your impulses. Every whim, every urge pulls you in a different direction, and you have no control over the course of your life. Freedom you think you're gaining by acting without constraint is actually an illusion. Instead of freedom, you're stuck in a cycle of instant gratification, constantly chasing the next pleasure, never finding true satisfaction. Your life becomes a series of distractions, and you end up losing sight of your larger goals, your true purpose. On the other hand, discipline gives you the power to choose. It means you have the ability to say no to what's easy and say yes to what's important. It means you can push through the discomfort to build habits that will support your long-term happiness, success, and well-being. It means you are in charge of your decisions, not your impulses. When you exercise discipline, you are taking control of your future. Instead of allowing external circumstances to dictate your life, you make deliberate choices that align with your deeper values and long-term vision. That is where true freedom lies. Discipline is also the foundation of growth. You cannot improve if you do not have the discipline to put in the work. Whether it's learning a new skill, building your physical health, or pursuing a career, growth requires consistent effort. If you want to be exceptional at something, you have to commit to it. You have to show up every day, even when you don't feel like it. You have to push through the moments of doubt, fatigue, and frustration. And in doing so, you gain mastery over yourself and your circumstances. The more disciplined you are, the more you develop the skills, strength, and mental fortitude needed to create the life you want. The more freedom you gain to pursue your dreams and achieve your goals. The paradox of discipline is that by creating structure and routine in your life, you actually open up more possibilities for creativity, growth, and opportunity. Instead of being bogged down by distractions and indecision, you create the space for yourself to focus on what truly matters. You can channel your energy into meaningful pursuits rather than being caught in a whirlwind of unproductive habits. Through discipline, you learn to prioritize your time, energy, and resources effectively, which frees you from the limitations of chaos and uncertainty. Ultimately, discipline doesn't restrict freedom. It expands it. It allows you to be the person you want to be, do the things you want to do, and live the life you want to live. It gives you the freedom to act with intention, to pursue your passions, and to reach your highest potential. In the end, discipline is the foundation of a life that is truly your own, a life lived by choice, not by default. To aim high in life is to set your sights beyond the ordinary, beyond what is comfortable, beyond what you think you're capable of. It's about challenging yourself to go farther, do more, and be more than you ever imagined possible. It's easy to aim for what feels achievable, to set goals that keep you in your comfort zone, where you can feel confident and secure. But the real growth, the real transformation, comes when you aim high, when you push yourself into the realm of the unknown, the unfamiliar, the uncomfortable. It's about daring to reach for something that stretches you, something that makes you question your limits and then transcend them. So often, people set small goals because they're afraid of failure. They're afraid that if they aim too high, they'll fall short, and that shortcoming will prove they weren't good enough. But here's the thing, it's not the failure that defines you. It's the courage to aim high, to put yourself out there, to strive for something bigger than yourself. The fear of failure is real, but it is far more damaging to live in the shadow of that fear, constantly playing small, than it is to risk failure and rise from it stronger. The truly extraordinary people in this world are those who dared to aim high, even when they had no guarantee of success. They weren't afraid to dream big, to envision a future that seemed impossible at the time. and it was through this audacity that they accomplished what others thought was out of reach. When you aim high, you give yourself permission to think beyond the limitations of the present moment. You stop focusing only on what's immediately in front of you and start thinking about the legacy you want to leave, the person you want to become. This shift in mindset is crucial because it elevates your thinking, broadens your perspective, and forces you to look at the world through a lens of possibility rather than restriction. It inspires you to take action that is bold, purposeful, and impactful, rather than being stuck in the cycle of mediocrity. Aiming high doesn't mean you won't encounter obstacles or setbacks. On the contrary, when you set ambitious goals, challenges are inevitable, but these challenges are part of the process, part of the journey. It's in overcoming adversity that you build resilience, learn valuable lessons, and develop the kind of strength that can only be forged through struggle. Without aiming high, without reaching for the stars, you deprive yourself of the chance to develop this grit, to push through adversity and come out the other side stronger and wiser. The key to aiming high is to remove the self-imposed boundaries that limit you. Stop listening to the voices, both external and internal, that tell you what you can't do, what's too difficult, or what's too far out of reach. These are the voices of fear, doubt, and insecurity. They will always be there, trying to keep you small, but you must learn to silence them. Aim higher than the voice of doubt, higher than the circumstances, higher than the opinions of others. When you aim high, you align yourself with your fullest potential, with the deepest version of yourself that exists beyond the comfort zone of mediocrity. The truth is, the world needs people who aim high. It needs people who refuse to settle for the status quo, who push the boundaries of what's possible, who reach for the stars and in doing so, inspire others to do the same. When you set lofty goals and pursue them with relentless passion and determination, you inspire others to believe in their own potential. Your journey becomes a beacon of possibility for those around you, showing them that if you can aim high and succeed, so can they. Aiming high is not just about achieving success. It's about embracing the process of becoming more than you were yesterday. It's about constantly evolving, challenging yourself to grow, and never accepting that you've reached your peak. There is no peak, not if you continue to push yourself, to aim higher, to dream bigger. The higher you aim, the more you expand your limits, and the greater the life you will create for yourself. So aim high. Really high, because that's where the magic happens.